really tomorrow that we start the warm-up here in the Northeast. Steph.
Well, winter has been keeping a firm grip on the country with endless march of winter storms and lingering cold temperatures.
All right, so it's taking its toll on small business owners who are eager to get a jump on spring sales. Weather and business analyst Paul Walsh, our good buddy, joins us now from Downingtown, Pennsylvania with more. Paul, you getting any snow this morning?
Almost, Jim. It shows up on the radar. I don't think it's falling, but it's like Virgo, but it might as well be. It feels like winter. I hate it.
So who are the winners and losers here as winter hangs on?
From a retail perspective, there's very few winners. There's some that will continue to sell some, winter-related items. But for the most part, especially brick-and-mortar stores and small mom-and-pop brick-and-mortar stores, this is really bad news, Jim, especially because we've had an earlier Easter this year. So generally, stores start to think about spring time to the Easter holiday, and it just hasn't happened yet. So there's a lot of small businesses out there that are sort of sweating and hoping for some spring weather to finally get here.
So let's talk about the types of businesses. I would assume the outdoor businesses are struggling a little bit more when we're talking about landscaping, maybe flowers and plants, that type of a thing.
Yeah, all of those. I mean, virtually every small business, a mom and pop type business, is impacted by this because what happens is the spring weather just gets people out. So even if they're selling items that are non-seasonal, they're still expecting that traffic to come in. So the overall impact on this late start to spring is generally bad by and large. The only silver lining here, guys, is that spring eventually will come, and to the extent that these businesses can stay ready for it, they will be able to benefit from it. But for restaurants, for example, it's hard to get that money back if people aren't going to eat because people only eat once. They don't eat twice.
Paul, what about auto shops, hardware stores, stuff that they would normally have already moved into the back for next year? Some people are still requiring that with this winter weather, right? Salt sales and things like that.
That's right. And Jim, what a lot of small businesses do, they have a little bit more flexibility than big businesses. They'll watch the weather. They probably watch AMHQ every day, and they make their decisions based on what that weather forecast is. To the extent that they still have items in the back, they'll bring those forward. Oftentimes, they'll mark it down because they do need to move them. One of the problems that small businesses have is that they don't have a lot of space, so they don't have a lot of room to keep those items. So that becomes a real problem for them.
So what does this mean for the future? How can people bounce back? What will we see change? Will we see more sales for us then going forward?
Yeah, well, we definitely will as we move into April. There's going to be a lot of sales for seasonal items that these small businesses have to move. More and more, though, businesses are using data and technology. I mentioned before that they're looking at the weather forecast every day, and I guarantee you some of your audiences are small businesses that are making their plans based on this. And what bigger businesses are doing is they're sort of taking a cue from the smaller mom and pops who basically, because of their experience, because they understand how that weather forecast is going to shape their business, they're leveraging like artificial intelligence to be able to sort of replicate that to scale those impacts across their business. So businesses by and large really recognize the impact of the weather, and the weather impact is actually growing, and is growing because of mobile phones and social media and all those other things that are having a big impact on all of us.
Yeah, don't we know they're using our data? That's for sure.
Thank you, Paul Walsh. We miss you, buddy. Keep in touch. All right, let's check.